Hello everyone, I'm Marc Brunet and welcome to my series on world building. Here we're developing the world of Chroma Island. In this episode, I'm going to dig a bit deeper into the Jade Tribe's hierarchy and kind of like the structure of their tribe. And also we are going to visit the Jade Tribe's village that you can see right here. Alright, let's check it out. Alright, the Jade Tribe's village is not yet on the island on the map here, so let's add it in there and let's check this out now. So as I start to work on the illustration for the village, what I wanted to create really here is a sense of atmosphere, kind of a really good vibe that you would have, you know, if you were playing maybe a game that has this kind of environment. I really wanted to try to get a feel for what it is to actually live there, kind of an up-close, more intimate look into their lives, and of course, hopefully, try to make something that's kind of pretty at the same time. So the image I had going into this was really kind of like this mystical, whimsical kind of village at dusk, you know, when the sun is just about to set and maybe they're on the other side of a mountain or something, so they're already kind of in the dark. And I wanted the contrast between the blue tint of the environment and the warmth of the light from their buildings, from their houses to contrast. So I thought it was a cool image, at least in my mind it was. And yeah, there you go. That's what I tried to achieve here. And so anyways, this is what I was going for. And at this point, I'm just putting down kind of the main rough shapes, you know, the big silhouettes to figure out what my composition is going to be. There are two things that I really wanted to include in this. One was something that's in the foreground because I wanted to show the characters kind of up close, you know, maybe a shot from their balcony, you know, if they have balconies. And also I wanted to make sure to include the ocean somewhere in there because those people, the green people, the Jade Tribe, they live in the forest but right by the ocean, which is why you can see the ocean in the background there. Now I think it was about 2 episodes ago where I talked about the props and the structures for the Jade Tribe, and so in this case here it's a strange process because I have a lot of the stuff, a lot of the design elements already figured out, and it's just a matter of laying them out in my environment and trying to make a composition that looks interesting. And it might not look that interesting yet, but it's pretty much set in stone at this point, so not much is going to change. The rest of the process here is going to be mostly just adding more and more and more polish until I'm done. So let's move on to a day in the life of a Jade Tribe person. Let's try to see what that might be like. And then once I add the characters in the foreground there, we'll talk a little bit about the social structure within the tribe. Nothing too deep, just to give us a little bit of context. And if none of this makes any sense, of course, probably take a look at the previous episodes. I'll have a link for that in the top right corner of the screen here or down in the description below. So if we take the Jade Tribe here, what I always try to do is to link them or to try to have them follow something that exists already. And so I was looking for animals that might be similar, at least give the impression that I wanted. And I settled on lions. And that's probably completely inaccurate, but you know, the kind of images that you get of a lion most of the time is they're kind of like, especially the males, they're just kind of laying down in the savannah, playing around, walking around, but mostly just chilling all day and then waiting for food to come. And so that's kind of what I wanted this tribe to be like. Because Chroma Island, especially the forest, you know, that they live in, or like on the side of the beach, there's a ton of food. So relatively speaking, there aren't that many green people on the island. The island's pretty big, right? So the green people don't have a big city or anything like that. It's more like a small village, a bunch of small, really small villages. And so in terms of food, the nature and the forest around them can pretty much provide everything that they need. So all they have to do is, you know, once in a while go out, grab a bunch of stuff and come back home and eat. Plenty of fruit, plenty of plants to go by. And as a result, their daily life is mostly just kind of chill. So there's a lot of playtime involved, and they really don't have any kind of predator other than the red people now, and we'll see maybe a couple other ones as well that I'll introduce in future episodes. But overall, no, they got things under control. They're not really fighting for their survival. So yeah, what does that mean for someone who lives there, right? Of course, you need to build things. You need to build. They have a lot to build. They need to repair stuff constantly. They need to work on new technologies. Just like people back in medieval times. They just didn't stay there waiting, doing nothing all day. They're trying to better themselves, and even if they want it or not, their population is still growing, and so they keep, they have to keep building and keep expanding. But they do that on a very, very slow time schedule. So anyways, a day in the life of a green person might be something like this. So they wake up in the morning with the light of the sun, and maybe they go for a little bit of a swim to take a bath and to go hang out with their friends, and then after that is just all about going to grab some food in the forest. So they'll leave in a bunch of little groups and grab a bunch of stuff for either their family or for for other people in the tribe. And then everybody kind of eats together, so it's a very social kind of environment. And then from there, for the rest of the day, for the majority of the day, they're just going to be building stuff or repairing things, or maybe working on new technologies. And by technologies, I mean maybe like new types of weapons and things like that to defend themselves. Depending on what they're focusing on in their life, they might be practicing different things. So they might train to fight. Others might train to cook better, to make clothes better. And so their tribe as a whole is kind of self-sufficient. They don't really need anything else. They can produce everything on their own, and that is going to occupy pretty much the entire day for them. And then at nighttime, I'm guessing that they do exactly the same thing. So there's probably food left over from the morning. If not, they can always go back and grab some more. But the idea here that I wanted with them is that everybody kind of cooks together, everybody eats together. It's a very, very community focused kind of tribe. So it's really not like free for all. Everybody works together as a unit to make everyone's life easier. So in my painting here, I have a little bit of light, right, coming from the buildings. They don't burn anything though, so they're very, very close to the forest, and so they try to not destroy anything when they can. Most of their building materials is stuff that comes from plants that are kind of bad, plants that try to eat them, carnivorous plants that I've introduced in previous episodes. And so they're completely fine, using those plants as building materials for their houses. And in terms of the kind of, technologies that they have, it's pretty limited. Whatever light you see here in this painting is mostly just fluorescent plants that they collect in the forests. So very similar to just, going to buy a bunch of flowers. The flowers are going to last you a couple of days maybe. Very similar with this kind of stuff here. So they can collect the plants in the forest, use them for a couple of days, and then after a while they don't produce any more light, and so they have to get new ones. So it's not like they have electricity or none of that. It all comes from nature. And then their village as a whole, it's not that big, so it can probably house maybe 100 people, maybe 200 people, the main village. So I'm thinking they probably have a couple of villages around the island, but this one here that I'm illustrating would be kind of the main one, the center hub for everything. You would have the bigger community center, so that all the big meetings are held there. People from the different villages kind of just come over whenever something's important. And then mostly it's just where most things happen. And then in terms of like the stores or restaurants, there's really none of that because they don't have any currency. So it's mostly just trade. So they'll trade something that they made maybe for something else, or they just kind of just give it to people because everything is in such abundance that there's really not much stress when it comes to life in the Jade Tribe. Kind of what I wish my life was like. There's nobody evil in this society. Everybody's kind of working together. So there's no prisons in there. They don't scold people. There's no police. When somebody misbehaves and does something like pretty serious, which is really, really rare. But let's say something happens, like there's an accident or something like that. The person responsible will usually just leave the village and kind of go die on their own. So they're very, very honorable. So if anything, think of it like a monk temple, but with a little bit more fun. So that's kind of what I imagined for these people. Now, in terms of the hierarchy or the social structure in this tribe here, what I was thinking is that most people are the same. They come from the same kind of trees, and they just grow up the same. And when the tribe is doing good as a whole, kind of everybody's doing good. So nobody really gets left behind. There's no poor people or no rich people. But that's not quite true, because there is still some sort of a hierarchy, right? So the most important people in the tribe are the champions, of course. Those are the ones that are the eldest. They're the strongest in the tribe, and so they're there to protect everyone. And when a champion dies, just like everybody else, they turn into a crystal tree. And crystal trees, the crystals found in the trees are what are used to create new green people. And so there is this kind of thing in the tribe where everyone who's a child born from the tree of a champion has a slightly higher status in the society. Most of the tribe usually works on a seniority type of structure, right? So everybody that's older has a little bit more importance. But if you're born from a champion's tree, it's almost like you have royal blood to some extent. The main reason for that is they are just slightly more likely to become champion themselves when they originate from a champion tree, champion's crystal tree. And so everybody in the tribe will see those babies or those people that grow up coming from that place in a slightly different light. So they have a little bit more respect, maybe they'll receive some extra gifts. It's really more out of respect than anything else. You know, the people that are not born from those trees, they want more champions, because when there's more champions, their life is easier. They have peace, they're well fed, they can play around, they can work on whatever they want. And so it's in everybody's interest that the champions do well. And so that is going to be kind of the main distinction between the different people within the tribe. So people that are related to the champions and those that aren't. And so back to the illustration here, the people in the foreground, those would be descendants of a champion. The main difference, the main visual difference would be that the people that have longer tails. Most of the time, it's not 100%. When that's the case, you're again more likely to become a successful champion, more likely to live longer. Most other people in the tribe are going to have shorter tails, or maybe tails that are not visible at all, almost like a rabbit tail. So that's pretty much it when it comes to the structure. Pretty simple. But there is still some sort of hierarchy there, but there's no grudge, or nobody's jealous of somebody else. And besides living their daily lives and kind of just going about their own business, the tribe as a whole always wants to support their champions as best as they can. So it's going to mean that some people will make some extra efforts, to go grab them some food so that they don't have to, maybe help, build their house, help make them clothes and things like that. So it's like the entire village is working for the champions, not really working for the champions, but working to help the champions just be more successful and grow stronger. By the way, the champions, they don't live in the main city here, so I'm thinking that's probably like close to the main village. They're going to have like their own little hut, one per champion, so that they have a little bit more privacy, maybe some areas where they can practice fighting and things like that. But yeah, so that's kind of what I came up with here. Something that looks peaceful, something that looks great, warm and cozy, but at the same time very open, very out in nature, and a place where the sense of community is very, very important. Kind of like the art community. So anyways, before I wrap this up, if this is something that you want to be able to do as well, painting something from your imagination with a bunch of characters, playing around with colors, composition, all this stuff, I teach all of that in my complete art education program, Art School for Digital Artists. It's around 100 hours of structured content, teaching all kinds of fundamentals, everything that artists would need to be successful as artists, really. It comes with assignments. We have a dedicated section on forums where people can interact with each other, give feedback to one another. And also, you probably know already, but I'm hosting weekly live streams for about 2 hours per week, where I go over the assignments or the questions from the students and give as much feedback as I can. And it's been awesome. We're almost at a year mark now, so we're getting up there, and I'm still having as much fun doing this. So anyways, check it out. You won't regret it. If this is something that might interest you, you can learn more by clicking the link in the top right corner of the screen here. And of course, I'm going to have links in the description below. So I hope this was entertaining a little bit. I hope this was inspiring, if anything. If it made you want to draw a little bit more than it did before you started watching, then it's mission accomplished in my book. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that notification bell to receive the next episodes right in your inbox as soon as they come out. And make sure that you keep an eye out for the next time-lapse video, where I'll be showing the entire process here, plus all the polish that's still left to come, taking it all the way to final. But yeah, that's it for me, and I'll see you guys next time.